All right. We are live here for the Bay Area Examiner, a live edition of Pod by the Bay. Let me turn down my broadcast here of the selection show. Uh, I'm sure if you're watching this, you're well aware USF beats Wichita State 70-55. Um, about we had a little pregame show. This is not wasn't too crazy, far off from how we thought the game might go. USF defense has been awesome the entire conference tournament. Those two games, they're just awesome defense. We had Colin on here yesterday, ranting and raving. As we get a little closer here to the bracket reveal, I'm sure we'll get some guys going. But yeah, what's everyone's initial thoughts before the bracket comes out? Let's see what we got here. We got let's go. Indeed, Enos is him. From good friend Sean. Sports. Scott started crying. Just never thought it would happen. That's been a common thing in our Discord. We've said a lot of. I think Nathan Bond said he was crying in the club. He wasn't sure why. A lot of people thought this day might not ever come, or at least not for a while. And to see how good the team was a couple of years ago, obviously they didn't win the conference tournament and paid for that going to the NIT. This team was able to pull it off. I think the format helped a ton too, and was really smart of the conference to try to get your best teams in, because USF was the best team in the conference, I think, by a pretty good margin, as you saw today. So I do think they were the team in the conference that could, cliche, make the most noise in the tournament for sure. With they're a team that can win in multiple ways, and there's not a ton of those. You saw Wichita State cannot shoot the ball with a lick. So we got Colby Allfrey in here now. Colby, what's up?
What's up there? Literally tearing down everything behind me. So if you pick me up and take me away during the middle of the stream, it is what it is. But
you're good. So I just went live here a little bit ago, just talking a little bit about the game before the bracket comes on. Are you in a spot where you can see the bracket being revealed?
when is that happening? We still got a couple hours, right?
No, 6 o'clock right now.
Wow. Oh man. Oh,
and the show's about to go live. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. I don't know. The presser. I don't know if they're doing a press conference or not. So I don't know. We'll see. Playing it by ear. But man, what a defense.
Yeah, talk about that. You were there. Talk about the game. What were your kind of initial thoughts watching the game back?
I mean, gosh, defense. It is so impressive for them in back-to-back days to hold two just phenomenal guards who were just on fire. And, Giles has been great all season, and you hold him to 5 points, 2 of 11. And like you said in the pregame, he shot 27 shots yesterday. He was not able to get up even 15 in this game because the defense was so good. Wes Ennis played every single minute of the game, and he still led the team in scoring. The defense, I mean, you just can't say enough about how good it was. I mean, you can look at the other stats. I mean, Wichita State shoots 34%, 4 of 19 from 3. USF has 10 steals, 10 points off turnovers, just everything defensively was just amazing. And that's really what this team's calling card has been, throughout this 11-game winning streak now. They're quietly, I think I looked, they're top 50 in defensive efficiency in the country right now, according to KenPom. And
Bart Torver's got him at 44.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and again, like the pace of scoring, everyone kind of looks at that and they get kind of in on it. The defense is just amazing with this team.
Yeah, and it was definitely on full display today. They did such a good job, basically choking out Giles. We talked about he can be somewhat of an inefficient scorer at times, even though he's a really good 3-point shooter. But man, I don't think he got maybe one clean open look at 3, and it was even then it was somewhat hurried because it was kind of a broken play. So Enos was the cover on him and just absolutely shut him down. So that was not something I thought he was capable of early in the year. I didn't think Enos was that kind of defender. Not knowing much about him, just assumed he was kind of a gunner. But man, he was awesome in the tournament.
Well, that's something I found out actually kind of midway through this. He won Defensive Player of the Year in his conference in Division II last year. That's something that, I mean, everyone talked about the 3-point shooting, the high scoring. He averaged 20 a game last year.
Yeah.
But he won Defensive Player of the Year as well in his conference. And like seeing, back to when they played FAU, the way he took away their guards, he's been really, really good. And Hodgson has all the confidence in the world. I think it was January, February, he said something about it. And kind of, I was like, am I missing something with him? And then I kind of did my research, and he is, phenomenal defender. And you do have to give a lot of credit to the team defense. I mean, it felt like each USF player had 4 arms, and they were just knocking down.
A ton of deflection. I'd be interested to see the deflection numbers. All right, so Duke is the number 1 overall seed. They're playing in the East region. They'll play Siena, who's a 16. I'll kind of throw these out as they pop up here. It would seem like we're going to get USF on a 12 or 11 line. It seems to be.
I think they might jump to that 11. I mean, that's what the
11's a good spot to be in because you can play a 6 in the first round, and then you get to play a 3. So you kind of get to avoid some of the elite teams a little bit. Ohio State will be the 8 there. Ohio State TCU is going to be the 8-9 matchup. So, all right, we'll see. This is the 5-12 playing in San Diego is the next matchup. St. John's. All right, and we'll see. A lot of people put USF against St. John's, so we'll see if that's
St. John's a 5?
St. John's is a 5.
Wow. I didn't think they'd stay on a 5 after winning the Big East championship.
Yeah, so St. John's will be the 5. The 12 will be in San Diego. 12 is – they're still talking about St. John's. 12 is Northern Iowa. So out in San Diego, St. John's, Northern Iowa, that's 5-12. That was one I think you saw USF get put into in a ton of bracketology, was that kind of a 5-12 against St. John's. Mm-hmm. So they avoid that first one. Also out there in San Diego, Kansas as a 4 seed. I would share the broadcast if I didn't think we'd get absolutely blown off the planet by CBS. And then Cal Baptist, 13 seed out in San Diego.
Okay.
All right, the 6-11 in Buffalo, New York. Louisville,
right.
The 6.
That was a lot of people had a USF news.
You want to sell some tickets? USF, the 11 against Louisville.
In Buffalo.
In Buffalo, New York. A little homecoming.
Let me
the
tweet
3
that
is the 3 is Michigan State. So if you win, you'll probably end up playing Michigan State. Wow. So USF jumps up to an 11 in the East Regional. North Dakota State is the 14. They're pretty tough offensively, so that'll be an interesting matchup. But all right, so the bracket is set for USF.
That was quick. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to read off every single team in the bracket here.
I remember one. Yeah, that's always hard when you're a bubble team and you're in that last region. I've gone through that a couple times through the Mike White Florida Gators era.
Yeah. So Louisville right now is
Seth. What day are they playing?
Let me look. I got to go back and see if they have that on there. Looks like our friends in Orlando made the tournament. That's a Thursday. USF will be playing on a Thursday.
Beautiful.
Thursday in Buffalo, New York. The 7-10 in Philadelphia the next day is UCF, UCLA. UConn is the 2 in this region.
Okay.
So you could get a War on I-4 matchup potentially in the Sweet 16.
Wouldn't that be something? That's crazy. Brian Hodgson going back to his hometown,
and I mean, just think who's. I'm sure we'll hear a ton about it, but the teams that are courting him aggressively, up in that region there. So I'm sure you'll get some. You'll get a really good fan turnout up there. I'm almost certain. You might I think USF might have a lot of the third party fans going.
So are they going to make like custom T-shirts and cheer for him or something?
I'm sure there might be some. All right, so let's look at this Louisville team. I'll go ahead and throw up their numbers here as the rest of the bracket comes in. I cannot share the broadcast. We will get nuked off the planet, I think, by CBS.
I'm gonna step away and see when they're
press
conference.
Yeah, come back. we'll take a look while we're kind of watching the bracket review. They're kind of talking through it now. I'll mute Colby's screen here. But this is a look at Louisville. Really good offense. Really good team. It looks like good shooting team. Really good 2-point shooting, free throw shooting. I wonder how similar they are to So this is going to be an up and down probably kind of game. It looks like 4th in 3-point rate, 60th in adjusted tempo. That should be a really interesting matchup for USF in terms of getting up and down. They haven't been good in close games. They haven't been great against really good teams. But you can see it's a really good team. So this is Bart Torvik here. They're 17th. So it's not a slouch. So probably you may feel like they're underseeded almost with some of these numbers, but let's see in terms of players. Ryan Conwell. Feels like I've heard that name before.
Michael Brown, he is their guy. Freshman guard, one of those high class freshman guys. Bit of a bigger guard. He's a guy who has the ability to go for 35, 40 points if you let him. And Conwell. That backcourt's really good. But I will say, in terms of matching up, Louisville's front court is not great. So I don't think this is a game where USF's lack of size is going to be a huge glaring weakness for them.
Yeah, so there's a couple interesting connections here. So I'm just trying to double check something real quick. One is Cason Pryor began his career not began his career, but had a year at USF. Ryan Conwell began his career at USF.
Really?
He played 22-23 for USF, then transferred to Indiana State, and then Xavier and Louisville. So he's bounced around, but he started his career at USF. So I'm sure this will be somewhat surreal for him in terms of the team he left was not very good. And to see kind of USF have two pretty good teams after he's gone is probably interesting. But yeah, man, I was saying as you were off, stylistically, they just run and gun, it looks like. 4th in 3-point rate, 60th in tempo, so not crazy high, but still pretty high. But you can see kind of the by player numbers here. A lot of really good offensive players, it looks like. So you got Hadley shoot. I don't know how much he plays a decent, but he doesn't shoot a ton of threes, but he's shooting a pretty high clip. You got a bunch of guys shooting over 34% from three, which, once you're over 33%, it's a pretty efficient shot, right? So
McNeely's a sniper.
As a team, they're shooting 35, almost 36% from three on 1,000 attempts. So this might be a really up and down one. But as you said, they're not great. You don't think they're great down low, or maybe not elite. So, this would be a great game for Isaiah Nelson to come out and have, establish his presence, and it could really help himself. All right, so the West region, Arizona, LIU. If anything funky happens, I'll throw it out there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this is a good matchup. This will be, if I remember correctly, Michael Brown is a bigger guy. I think he's 6'5".
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be this will be a tougher matchup defensively for West Ennis because he's going to be giving up a couple inches. Brown likes to use the mid range a little bit, but he's still going to pester him. I like this matchup. I'm sure I'll be able to dig into it a little bit more as we get closer throughout the week. But
this feels a little bit like you're getting an under. What's interesting is it does. I think the way this USF team they play feels like they can play different styles. So but this does feel like a Louisville team that's maybe, like by the metrics, somewhat underseeded. Ken Palm's got him 17th or 19th. I think Torvik's got him 17th. So kind of right outside, just should be maybe in that 5 seed range. But man, they got some players. Yeah, that Michael Brown, I think his usage is crazy high.
Yeah.
No, 33% or almost 30. He's 33rd in the country in percentage of possessions used, I think.
I think these metrics might be a little fooling. They have little fooling. They have I haven't paid attention real closely, but what I've seen, I just don't think they've been great down the stretch.
Their last 10, they've been worse than they have been for the rest of the year. So they're 20. Their last 10, they're 20th, and their biggest drop off is they've been 36 on defense in the last 10.
Okay.
Lost to Miami team in the kind of scraped by an SMU team. Lost to a Miami team in the tournament that they beat a little bit earlier in the year. I'm interested to dig in more. I haven't followed the ACC a ton, but
Seth, I think I'm gonna leave because I just want to make sure I get in that presser.
All right, man.
All right, I might come back. We'll see.
All right, man.
Hopefully you get some of these drunkies to get on.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'll talk later. All right. So Kennesaw, really, I mean, what an odd tournament for our USF. You've got, maybe not odd, but you just saw a few minutes ago. I guess maybe not odd, but a bunch of connections. Like not only in this Louisville game, but you saw High Point is a 12 seed. I think Ben Fletcher, who ended up being was the head coach last year, is on the staff there. And then you see now you've got Kennesaw State making the tournament again. So, it's a lot of connections for USF basketball. And yet it is yes, it is odd. Interesting you have to play Case and Pryor in the first round. That's strange, but that's the way it goes sometimes. It is bizarre. You've got a lot of USF connections on that Louisville team. So, and they do play a somewhat similar style, like I said. So we'll look at their KenPom page real quick. This is a team I think the one thing about them, they're really tall too. They're a long team. So that'll be another kind of point, an interesting kind of point in the game there. So we can go through their schedule real quick. Lost to Arkansas and Tennessee, Stanford and Duke. So I mean, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Duke are probably, not too upset. Stanford's a little bit worse than USF and KenPom, but not bad. So they've lost to a bunch of really good teams. So they're kind of the kind of middle part of the ACC, or the kind of the teams they've lost to a little bit, or the upper part and the upper mid part of the ACC teams that are in the top 40 in the country. So it's not like they're losing to the dregs of society or anything. So this is you got a really tough matchup, I think, in terms of probably, I would guess they're the best 6 seed based on kind of how the metrics have them ranked. But let's look at some of the adjusted efficiency numbers here. So 19th on offense, 25th on defense. They're not a slow tempo. They're way above average, but not crazy. You see the average possession length on offense though is pretty fast. So could be a very up and down game. Good defensive rebounding team. Really good effective field goal percentage team, and their 3-point rate is really high. So 4th in 3-point rate. Like USF, they also get a lot of shots blocked. So I'm assuming their shot distribution is really similar to USF, where it's threes and shots at the rim. So they have the 40th strength of schedule, or maybe the 40th offensively, the 40th strength of schedule, defensively, the 25th strength of schedule, overall the 30th strength of schedule. So they've played a tough schedule being in the ACC. So it's going to be a battle-tested team, a very experienced team. You see that they're 17th in experience, 43rd in average height. So guys to note, Michael Brown is one Colby mentioned. One of the better free throw shooters in the country, gets to the line a lot as well. Decent 3-point shooter. But Conwell seems to be the guy that's kind of their heavy 3-point shooter in terms of attempts. Isaiah McNeely as well, and he's a pretty good shooter there. So they've got a lot of offensive weapons on this team. So this is going to be a tough matchup. I I think, for USF. Maybe not wouldn't be the one you picked if you kind of could pick some of these teams blind. There might have been some other teams, but it should be a fun game, I think. And the way USF plays, with kind of if they're hitting shots, you feel like they can beat anybody they play. So there is that to it. We're going to see if we can get some of the other guys on here. I would love to get their perspective on the win. But while you're in here, what's your perspective? How did you guys feel when that final buzzer sounded? Did you did you wait until the final buzzer sounds to actually get excited, or did the excitement build a little bit during the game? There are some we had to delete we deleted a comment about we're going to the dance with about 3 minutes left. We just went ahead and deleted that out of the Discord. We're not superstitious, but maybe a little stitious. There you go. Let's do it. Going silly stupid. There was a lot of tight buttholes, I think, going around the USF fandom there the last 3 minutes of the game. What's interesting in the Discord, I was thought, what's the magic number? What's the number they got to get to win this game for sure? And I threw out the number. I was like, all right, it's going to be, let's say 70. And that was when USF had 59 points. Turns out 59, they could have just stuck on there and won the game. The defense just absolutely turned it up at the end of the game. And yeah, man, it's been so interesting. I've not been a lifelong follower of USF basketball, so I can't give you all the history like some of our other guys can. But just seeing the change in like the last 5 years, from especially even just the style of play, from just playing this really grinding, very bad. Like every game was like that Wichita State game where it's just got to grind it out and we can't shoot and it's a rock fight. It definitely feels like that AAR team that first kind of jump out in front of the American, the way they played, just shooting the ball so well. There we go. Paul Rader, first time going to the tournament since you became a student. Yeah, there was no. I think we might have some of the we USF'd it, or we're going to USF it, or some of those kind of things. Hopefully, got exercised, because this game did get tight, and even though we were kind of moving on to the tournament, the big tournament, the game, just going back through the game got tight. USF was up 10. Wichita has 6 dudes on the court, doesn't get called for it, and hits a 3 to push it to 7. And then really quickly into the first half, it was down to 4. I think it got down to 1 at one point. But USF never relented, never gave up the lead, and then kind of blew it open late. So, man, it was really, really, really good performance for USF. And their largest lead was basically the end of the game. Their largest lead of the game was 16. They won by 15. So really able to just kind of bust it open and take off from there. So there's a few more brackets to be revealed, but it doesn't really matter at this point. USF's got their side of the bracket. I do think it is very a potential war on I-4 in the Sweet 16 would possibly break the Twitter. It'd be worse than any political infighting, possibly. So that's something to look forward to, I guess. I don't know, but we do have the games that are coming up in Tampa for anybody that's coming. We can talk about those here coming up. So if you're just local and you got a little ticket for Tampa, let's see. They're about to announce the 5-12 games here in a second. All right, Georgia makes the tournament in Buffalo. So there you go. So Michigan will also be in Buffalo. Michigan's in Buffalo. So that'll be, as you're getting, you might want to go ahead and get tickets as fast as you can if you're planning on going, because I'm sure they'll gobble a bunch up. Georgia and St. Louis will also be in Buffalo. Oh, in Tampa, our good friend Robert Stieg and Nathan Bond, one of their favorite schools, the Texas Tech Red Raiders, will be in Tampa, it looks like. Because the Akron Zips. So, yeah, man. We're gonna get Steeg and Nathan on here hopefully soon. They said they'll be on in a few minutes. But so if you are going to Tampa, let's see if you've already bought tickets. Let's see who you got Alabama. The Alabama Crimson Tide against the Hofstra. I think Speedy Claxton is the head coach of Hofstra. So we talked a little bit about Desi Relaford on the Pod by the Bay recently. Just guys naming dudes. There's another dude, so Speedy Claxton. So there's your 13 seed there. Louisville's an interesting team. So that's kind of where we're going to look at in terms of the tournament. Really good team. It can really shoot it looks like. Really good on offense. You kind of look at – I'm hoping they start getting some of these matchups on. It looks like, Miami, Ohio. Looks like they made the tournament. There you go. They did not get screwed out of it, and they were one loss. They do have a play-in game against SMU, who is one of the teams that beat Louisville earlier this year. So that's an 11. So USF in a similar spot there to an SMU team that beat Louisville. But yeah, the things that you're gonna have to watch here in this matchup, you're gonna have obviously a ton of USF connections, which is fun and weird. You got Ryan Conway and Kason Pryor there, so that's interesting. Pat Kelsey is the coach. He's been around for a while. He hasn't been at Louisville for a long time, but let's see if we can find his conference or his tournament record here. See, was it Charleston previously? So last year, Louisville was 27-8, made the tournament. Looks like they may have lost in the first round, potentially. I would like to see. Did Louisville lose in the first round last year? All right, so we'll figure that out. Nothing crazy going on yet. I guess the biggest question left in the bracket is who's going to be the final number 1 seed. But you know what? Let's stop talking about. Let's talk about the American Championship game. Yeah, I think Louisville lost it looked like they may have lost in the first round last year. So, let me take this back a year. Let's look. Yeah, they lost to Creighton 89-75 in the first round of last season's tournament there. So this team played this team was not nearly as fast last year as they are this year, it looks like. So looking at Louisville, so they've really cranked up the tempo this year. They still shot a ton of threes, but it seems like they really cranked up the tempo this year. So this will be a really up and down high tempo game, which I think if you're USF, you're okay with that because that's kind of the style you like to play. So that won't be an issue. Now their skill and the ability to make shots is obviously going to be an issue for anybody. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But while we're all here, let's go ahead and let's talk about the game that just happened. So let's look at the final stats for the American Conference Championship game. Wes Enos was named, I think, player of the tournament. Obviously, he played awesome. His 19 points were big. It was not super efficient. You see, he was 7 of 21. but he made them in key spots. He played every minute of the game. He played 40 minutes. I don't think that's the first time he's done that this year. He's been a guy recently that's played a ton of minutes, and he's able to handle that. But I think the more, some of the other guys that were Hightower came in and gave you some really good minutes when it was getting a little tight at the end of the first half. I think he had 3 straight possessions where he might have made a basket. He was big. Isaiah Jones made some threes, which was somewhat out of the ordinary, and played some really good defense. So, I think looking at the team stats, it's always good when you're a team like USF that likes to get up and down and likes to shoot a ton of threes. It's always awesome when you can win a game when you don't do that. So the offense did not play well. And they still were able to extend, get out, lead the game. Points in the paint, 34 points in the paint, 14 points off the bench. Really, really good stuff. Points per possession, over 1 point per possession for the game. So really good stuff. They trailed for 50 seconds the entire game. That's pretty good. When you lead for all but 50 seconds in a game, I think that's a pretty good sign. Led for over 35 minutes of the game. Isaiah Nelson, obviously player of the year, great player. A little bit of foul trouble early, but he altered a ton of shots down low. He was great. Probably one to forget for Pinion. He had a couple chances to hit some shots, but I thought he played pretty solid defense. He did foul quite a bit, but he played solid defense at times. I thought you don't want to complain about the refereeing, but it was like a game that was refereed in the style that Wichita wanted to play for sure. Now you just got to adjust to whatever style you get, but that was the style Wichita wanted to play, where they could grab and kind of rip at people's arms and all that kind of stuff. That's definitely the style Wichita wanted to play. I don't think they were such a terrible shooting team. This was my kind of thought before the game, is this team is so bad shooting the basketball that as long as you kind of don't give the game away, they're not going to be able to jump shoot their way into it. It looks like Florida is going to be the final 1 seed. So that means Houston's probably the final 2 seed. Florida will be playing in Tampa. So you'll have that'll be an interesting ticket. If you already have tickets, you'll probably be able to sell them for a pretty good premium there. You have Florida and Alabama coming to town. So that'll be pretty good for your pockets. What's fun about the USF team, I think, is that you do have some pieces that are definitely big time, like solid. Obviously, Nelson, Enos. And then you have guys who can kind of Pinion is sometimes, you have these guys in the periphery that play a ton, but it could be a different guy every night, a different guy every game in terms of who's going to be the guy that steps up. And they've kind of done that. There have been games where Nelson's had foul trouble. He hasn't been able to do a ton. The guards step up and play really well. There's been games that guards haven't played well, and, the guys inside play awesome. So that is what I think makes them really appealing. Now, I think they got a really tough draw in the tournament. So that's going to be unfortunate. I think depending on the draw, they would have been a team for a ton of people to pick in the tournament to go make a run. Louisville matchup will be tough. I do think it's a winnable game, but it is going to be a tough game just because of the style, and it's another really good offensive team. Now, what's been really fun about USF in this tournament here, the conference tournament, has been the defense. The defense has been suffocating here. Colby came on. That was the first thing he said. He was there live watching the game. Just the defensive numbers have been spectacular. Held Wichita State to less than a point per possession. Turned them over on 21% of possessions. You see the shooting splits, 33.9% shooting 21% from three, and there were not a lot of clean looks. I'd love to get some of kind of the stats they have in the NBA where it's kind of open looks, semi-open looks, wide open. There were not a ton of open looks for Wichita State. Neither team got a ton. But you see Giles was the guy that everyone was talking about before the game. He can really put it up. He only got 11 attempts, which I think is a sign of how good the defense was on him. Because there were previous games he's gotten like 27, like high 20s in attempts. So the fact that you're able to kind of limit him to 11 attempts, you don't let him get to the free throw line. 1 for 7 from three, and the one he made was when they had 6 dudes on the court and just kind of got it against the run of play. Just kind of a weird broken play situation at the end of the half. So, the defense I thought for USF was spectacular. Now, this was a really terrible shooting team, so that helps. But you saw the defense the night before against Charlotte just kind of slowly suffocate them, and they did the same thing to Wichita State. USF was, I think, a 16-point favorite against Charlotte, or 14-point favorite rather against Charlotte. Ended up winning by a lot more, obviously. And then they were about a 5.5 to 6.5 point favorite in this game. Ended up pushing out to 15. So performing even above expectations in this really pressure-filled situation. So while I wait on Steeg's going to jump in here pretty soon. While I wait on him, anybody in the chat got any questions about the game today, the tournament, the season, the final, or the big tournament coming up here? We're going to do our best to get somebody to Buffalo, so we should have some live coverage there in Buffalo for you guys. But other than that, any other questions here while we wait for our good friend Robert Sieg, who enjoyed the game at the patio with our other good friend Nathan Bond? I guess I could play. Well, I was told I should play some Round Ball Rock. They have earned it. We haven't played it yet. This team has earned a little Round Ball Rock, which is how we introed a lot of the shows for the those really good AR teams. Yes, Louisville lost to Creighton last year. We'll go. We're going to just do we're going to go anatomy of a loss here. Let's see. Let's see where USF is in Ken Palm right now. I think USF ended up 47th right now. So they're 47th in Ken Palm. All right, so we can compare them to a team Louisville has played. Very big onions, Justin. What a great game from USF. When it got tight, they didn't fold. They stiffened. So really, really good job from them. So let's take a look at one of Louisville's losses here and see what kind of – maybe there's a common theme here. So we'll look at their last game against Miami. See if we can find a common theme in some of these losses and maybe how USF might negotiate or navigate playing them. Yes, I agree. It is you're going out on a limb here, but I do agree, Paul. Go Bulls. Great victory for USF. If you're scrolling by us here on Twitter, it's going to be less and less of you seeing it because we lost access to our old Twitter account that had quite a lot of people. But yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. All right, you know what? Just as a palate cleanser here, I think we can do this. Let's do it. We haven't done it in a while. Let's do it.
Sam. All right, 2, 3, 4. Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it! Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it! Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it! Basketball, gimme.
There you go. I think if you win the conference tournament, you've earned the basketball. So you've earned some round ball rock if you do as well as USF did, and they did. So big kudos to USF for winning the game today. Let's take a look at – let's see who's closest. So SMU is the closest analog on Louisville's schedule to USF. So we'll look at the game SMU was able to beat Louisville and see if there's anything we can gather from that game. Thank you. We had to go there. You've got to break out the round ball rock for such an occasion as this. So hopefully we get Colin or Nathan on here to talk about the historical significance of this win. We talked before the game. Nathan said he thought outside of the NCAA tournament games, this is probably the most important. This was the most important game in USF history, and they go and win it. Realignment being what it is now, you've got to take every opportunity you can to, to kind of impress, I guess, the larger conferences. When you get a chance to make the tournament, that's a nice feather in your cap for those situations. So here was, I'm going to see if I can get the Bart Torvik. He gets a little bit more in depth here, but you can kind of see this is their loss against SMU. Looked like it was a very tight game. SMU pulled away late. That is something I think that is that's shown up a couple of times. So we'll look at it here. Let's look at the Bart Torvik version of that game. So it's interesting, kind of you see the guys that come in and have heavy usage. So Conwell had super heavy usage in the game. This is their loss. This is their recent loss against Miami. So this is just the last loss they had. I do not see Mikal Brown. Is Mikal Brown injured? Does anybody know that? Interesting. All right, so that's an interest. So Mikal Brown is not on there. So where's Mikal Brown? It appears that Mikal Brown has a back injury. He missed the entire ACC tournament. Well, that's quite interesting. They're saying he's they think he'll be ready for the start of the conference tournament, but if he's not, or the start of the NCAA tournament, but if he's not, that's obviously a big help. You heard Colby come on and say Mikal Brown is kind of one of those dudes, kind of one of those freshmen that are, just like those are the guys you gotta make. Like he's one of those guys that like can kind of be the number one guy on a team, even as a true freshman. So I'm going to get his full numbers pulled up here so you can kind of see what he's done this year. According to what I'm seeing, they're 7-5 when he doesn't play, 16-5 with him playing. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but that's what they say. So if he's hurt, that obviously changes the calculus a little bit. So let's throw up his numbers here. He seems like he's their best player. And you see his numbers are really good. So high usage. So when he plays, he gets the ball a ton. Gets to the rim a good bit. A good bit of his shots are at the rim at least. Really good shooter, not a great offensive rebounder. High true shooting percentage, really good assist numbers as well. I think he gets to the line a lot, and he shoots it really well from the free throw line. So this is a guy that can really score a ton. His offensive rating for the season is a 111. So he's a really good player for them, really high assist guy. And I think if he's out, that changes the way he plays. So he was not playing for the conference tournament. That'll be kind of the big thing to watch. If you're getting Louisville with him playing, I wonder how much of that kind of pushed them to the 6th seed. We talked about they may be underseeded. I wonder if this injury will push him to the 6th seed, or is what kind of pushed him there. If he was healthy, maybe they get in at a 5. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see him being hurt and not being in the conference tournament. That's a big break for USF if that is true. Now, it looks like they think he's going to be back. The original thought is he'll be back for the NCAA tournament. So on March 10th, Card Chronicle wrote, this is something they announced before the tournament, that he'll be out, but he wanted to play, but I think it's best for him to continue. This is from head coach Pat Kelsey. Michael wants to play in the ACC tournament, but we believe it's best for him to continue his path of improvement and have him 100% for the first round of the NCAA tournament. He's close and chomping at the bit to be out there with his teammates. He's the second leading scorer on the team and is first for the team in assists. You saw that high assist rate. We saw that on his player profile, right? He's got a high assist rate here, second leading scorer on the team. But this is an injury. So this could be his first game action in 3 or 4 weeks, potentially. So he's sat out 10 games already with his back injury, according to Mike Rutherford at the Card Chronicle. So that is kind of going to be, I think, the big question for this game. Is he fully healthy? And then the other question is, if it's a back, how much is he going to be able to run? Are they going to be able to play as fast as they'd like to play? If one of your best players has back issues, right? So that's obviously in USF's favor. USF comes into the game pretty healthy amongst their best players. Only had to play 2, which is also nice. You didn't have to go on some grueling conference tournament run. So that is nice. I do think the conference tournaments, despite a couple issues, I think somebody pointed out there may have been somebody watching the SEC tournament, one of the video assistants. That's not great. There was also a time when 6 guys were on the court for Wichita State, and I don't know if you guys are basketball heads or not, but typically you can only have 5 out on the court at once. So Wichita State got away with 6. Not great. But despite that, I do like the format. I think the format rewards the regular season because you could see as you watch these teams play, USF is the best chance, I think, for the conference to get somebody to a second weekend, to get somebody to the next round, get somebody that can win a game in the tournament. USF was the best chance for the conference. So if they were unable to secure that bid, you would have had nobody that could get in that large, and you would have had a team that's not – I don't think that Wichita State can beat anybody of substance in the tournament. Now, maybe they can be pesky enough, but they just don't shoot the ball well at all. They don't shoot from free throw well at all. It's hard to win like that. So the tournament format, great. I think that it rewards your best teams, which when you're a conference that may only get one bid, you want to get your best team in there. So totally makes sense. And USF was able to reward them by playing well and winning those 2 games. So, it's a very difficult matchup for USF. And then we'll probably, when we have the whole crew together, go really extensive on kind of some of the different permutations. But the 3 is Michigan State. So Michigan State is a really good defensive. Their offense is good, but they're a really good defensive team. I'd imagine they do not play the same way Louisville does. I don't think Tom Izzo is a real running gun kind of guy. But they're their tempo is going to be a little. So it'll be interesting. What's like I said, I think what the best part of the USF team is, even though they like to go fast and play at a really high tempo, they can slow it down if they need to, like they did today. They can grind it out against a team that wants to just try to grind you out. So if you do end up beating a Louisville team that likes to play super high tempo, you'll likely be rewarded by playing a Michigan State team that is 253rd in the country in tempo. So you're just going to go from kind of one to the other. A team that goes from you're going to go from playing the 4th highest rated team in 3-point rate to the 240th. So, yeah. Also interesting on Michigan State, their defense has been kind of slacking the last 10. So 65th in their last 10 games on defense. I don't know if that's competition or just injury or sliding a little bit, but we'll see. We shall see. All right, so here's one thing I can announce. We'll have in the Bay Area Examiner Discord. You can, if you're not in there, join us. In the Bay Area Examiner Discord, we will be doing a men's March Madness bracket challenge, possibly a women's challenge as well, even though the Bulls will not be in that this year. And we will give a prize to the winner. We're still deciding. It could be maybe some beautiful home field apparel, or if you are shopping at homefieldapparel.com, you could still use our code BAE25 for 15% off your first order. You can use code BAE25 for 15% off your first order. But if you just want something free from there, potentially, I'd say potentially, then join our bracket challenge. Winner will probably get a nice little prize there. And that'll be in the Bay Area Examiner Discord. So make sure you are in there, and we will send out that notification probably in the next couple of days, I'd imagine, to give you a little time to make some picks. Are you going to make USF to the Sweet 16 pick? USF all the way? You only get one bracket in this thing. You only got one. So I know sometimes you want to make I'm going to pick my team to win bracket, and then I'm going to pick another bracket. So what bracket are you picking? I do think this USF team could win a couple games in the tournament. Definitely. This is a really good team. Now, unfortunately, I think their draw is pretty tough, but that is the issue. But if you can kind of get through that first weekend, you're probably pretty good. So, but it will be difficult to get into that first weekend. We do not know when the game will be played. We do have a fun tweet here from former friend of the show, Casey Pryor. What are the odds? Casey Pryor, who I don't know if he's kept up with throwing the ball off people's faces or not still. Look at all those notifications I'm blowing up. But Casey Pryor, former Bull, had an awesome season on that 2014. So you get a chance to see Casey Pryor again. That'll be interesting. Also, like we talked about earlier, you get a little chance to see Ryan Conwell again. He got 1 year in Tampa, but doing pretty well. It seems like he's probably made a good bit of money, I'd imagine, in the NIL era. He seems to be moving on up to decent programs. So, so that's good for him. He's made his way up. USF, Indiana State. I think he was on the Indiana State team that got kind of screwed out of the tournament a little bit. And then transferred, I think, to Xavier. Sieg said he went to the link I sent, and I'm really hoping I'm not just talking into the abyss here because he said it wasn't there. So let me see it. Let me send it again here. Let's see. We've got a good, healthy number of people watching here. Who's going to be the first national person to? Oh, here's a great tweet here from our man Colby on the ground here. You heard him say it if you were been here the whole time. The Buffalo area, right? That's where Brian Hodgson is from. So here's something from our good friend Colby. Brian Hodgson was a foster kid from the Buffalo, New York area. His dad suffers from dementia. Since he's been a head coach, his father's never been able to watch his teams in person. Thursday, Hodgson's dad will be in attendance for his first NCAA tournament game. What a story. That's awesome. Stieg, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry.
I've been floundering here live on air. Oh, hold on. I got something to show you. I've already showed our friend
world.
I've already showed our friends here, but hold on. Let me see if I can.
No, I mean, sorry. I clicked your link. Didn't work.
Yeah, I thought after you said that, I thought I might be just talking to nobody for a while. So that was a scary thought.
No, I told you 20 minutes. I was there in 18.
I know. I thought, oh no, I've just been talking into the void for the last 45 minutes. But
basketball, give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. Basketball, give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. Basketball, give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. Basketball.
there you go.
Yeah, good stuff. Great stuff. Honestly, very well deserved to bring it back.
I told the chat they earned it. The fellas earned it on the court this year, so we brought it back. We kept it on lock and we kept it under lock and key last year. Didn't break it out. Had to break it out for this.
Yeah,
so
they deserved it.
Yeah, Stieg, thoughts? You were at the patio with some other USF fans.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
It was live, as they say.
Wow.
Yeah, no, good little turnout. Good little bit of USF Nation was there. Patio, famously former sponsor of ours back in the day. Actually, I think one of our more famous or notorious podcasts was actually at the patio. So it was the perfect little coming of age little situation for us there. Last time we were there, Brian Gregory was also with us. So it really was a full circle moment for me and Nathan there, who I think at some point might join, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, the game went about as exactly how it should have. Just an absolute slugfest. Just guys throwing haymakers. You know, that was two teams that play hard-nosed defense, just throwing punches at each other for 40 minutes plus. And yeah.
Did you answer the chat's question here? Was it bussin'?
It was bussin'.
Okay.
I got the place really, really rambunctious when USF scored their 67th point.
Oh wow.
Had to. And then finished the day with some celebratory green and gold tee shots.
There you go.
It was good. It was good. But yeah, it's one of those things that whenever we look at where USF is at on the map and everything like that, like USF has this underwhelming fan base behind it that just needs these moments. The entire bar at the patio was cheering along, except for one guy who took Wichita State money line. Jokes on him. But it's moments like those that make me remember, like, oh yeah, like there was a reason why they kept on referring to us as Sleeping Giants for a couple of years, and for it to come into full fruition like this is just phenomenal. Like very, very few emotions were more euphoric than what we were feeling in the final minutes there.
Yeah, I imagine the scene was pretty good. I was trying to. It was trying to get you guys to go live because I'm sure it would be it would have been a wild time, but it may not have been the most clean broadcast environment.
I brought my wired headphones for it just in case, but after the fourth beer, I was like, yeah, that ain't a good idea.
So, yeah. So, the bracket's been revealed since then. USF will be in Buffalo, New York, where Brian Hodgson is from. Also, probably not far from Syracuse and Providence. I'm not sure exactly how the Northeast works, but I don't think it's that big. And they'll be playing the Louisville Cardinals. Not the first time that's ever happened. There's a little rivalry renewed. A lot of interesting kind of things coming back here. So, what are your thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, the very obvious.
I've tried to. You got Conwell, you've got Pryor, you've got obviously the old Big East days and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of interest. I did also mention, I don't know if you've thought about this or not, there is a possibility of a War on I-4 Sweet 16 game.
I did see that, which leads me to my my overarching thought was the selection committee had to have known that USF was going to be a trendy pick because they did them no favors.
It is a tough matchup.
At all. First off, that matchup against Louisville on paper is a lot tougher than it should be. I know a lot of people were penciling like USF as like the trendy 12/5 pick, 11/6 pick. I still think they're going to be in that realm, but that's a tough Louisville team to go up against. And then you have the possibility of War on I-4, and then you're in the same side of the bracket as UConn. Fun. And then, of course, you're in the same side of the bracket as, are they number one overall seed, Duke? Or
yes, I believe Duke was the number one overall seed.
So number one overall seed, Duke. And Michigan State. I totally glossed over number 3.
Is Tom Izzo a good tournament coach? I haven't.
Historically, no. But it's still it's March Madness.
Yeah. So
that
we did talk
saving grace.
We did talk about this a little bit. Michael Brown has been hurt. He's one of Louisville's best players. He did not play in the ACC conference tournament at all. They say he's going to come back, but reading Card Chronicle, they had an article about it. It's possible he will not have played for weeks at this time. It wasn't just missing this. He missed some games before. He's missed 10 games overall for them. They're 7. Their record when he is out, I think, is not great. Now, AI told me it was one thing, but I'd have to see what the actual number is. But pretty good with him, kind of a closer to 500 without him. So that would be a big part. And then the other part of it is if he does play, this team likes to run, it looks like a little bit. They're 60th in tempo, but their average offensive possession length is 19th. So they like to run. Can you run if you're one of your best players is a back injury? So
that's a big ask, and obviously, the big thing is if Mikel Brown is available, he will get guarded up against Wes Enos.
And probably have to chase him a little bit too, potentially on the other end. That
might be you may not want to, because that might be a deficit if you're Louisville at that point. Today at least, sorry, I got to go back to this. Watching Giles and Enos battle back and forth defensively for 40 minutes was a masterclass. Like those are two unbelievable dudes. You may not want to do that if you're Louisville. You may want to just have him out, or maybe use him strategically, maybe like late game situations or something like that, or late half situations. But that might be to your detriment, because dude, what? I know Isaiah Nelson got Defensive Player of the Year. Like if they did a Defensive Player of the Tournament, it would have to go to Wes Enos. Like that, he played out of his mind defensively.
Yeah, Enos was great. But yeah, DD saying Louisville runs. I guess my question is how much can he run? Just if it is a back that it's really bad and it's not 100%, how much can you? That's going to be tough for him, I think, to run and play that style. I'm sure around him they'll play that way, but he may be somewhat limited potentially. Now, it's also possible what they said, if you take it at face value, which how often can you take? We here in the USF community have learned you can't always take the coach at face value on injuries, but their coach is kind of no, they would never say it's day to day when they're definitely out for the season. But he said, we're just basically resting for the ACC tournament just to make sure he's fully healed for the NCAA tournament. It was the talk coming out of their camp. So if that's true, you're going to see. I think you're probably like as Didi said, you're going to see they're going to run. It's going to be an up and down kind of game. Yeah, Julio. There's a ton of former USF connections on Louisville. It's a really, really interesting kind of. There's going to be a lot of good storylines in this game, and we'll probably convene in the next day or two. We'll have another show and really dive super deep into this. But just off the top of your head, you got the former USF players on Louisville. You've got Hodgson going back to Buffalo, where he's from. Then you got the intrigue of all the schools up in that area looking at him, trying to steal him from USF. And then you got the injury there. So there's a lot of really interesting storylines in this game. I know Louisville fans, from what I've seen, somebody shared a couple of the tweets in the Discord. Louisville fans do not seem to be super happy with USF as the 11. So, yeah, it's interesting.
This was, I think, John Rothstein, Joe Lunardi, every single tournament analyst said, you do not want to play this USF team in round one because it's a hot team, hard-nosed defense, shoots lights out. Every major thing that you can think of that would typically lead to one of those very famous upsets, one of those very famous Cinderella runs is basically within USF's grasp. Again, the tournament layout is not very favorable for USF, but I don't think that there are many Louisville fans that are going to be really stirring with confidence. And early line, I think, had it at 6.5 in favor of Louisville. That's gonna get bet down, dude. It's gonna go down to 2.5, maybe even get a pick 'em.
I think a lot of it may depend on
Mikkel,
the reports on him that are coming out. So I think, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there. I think this is possibly going to be the first game of the tournament on Thursday.
Yeah,
I think that's a very good possibility. In our Discord, Jamie in our Discord said, Michigan's playing in Buffalo as well. They'll probably get the night spot. I don't know. I guess you could lead off with Izzo potentially. But I would think if you're going to Michigan the night spot, that other game's going to be played at night as well in their pod. So this pod would go early. So basically, do you want to put on Izzo, or do you want to put on a game that I think could be a really good game and a really fun opening? You want to talk about a fun opening game of the tournament? If you're let's put on a really entertaining game to start the tournament, I think you could get that. So, USF could be the first team to advance in the tournament. Good. If you want to look at it that way. But I think it's very possible they get the first game of the NCAA tournament. Which, hey man, there you go.
Yeah,
you're in the dance, so I'm going to see if they got any lines up yet around town on. All right, so it looks like right now it's at 6.5 everywhere. I think I saw it was at 7.5 earlier. So I like you said, it may be coming down a little bit already. USF will be a trendy team. Somebody in your office will pick USF to make the Sweet 16. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm basically hardcore refreshing the tournament slate to see if I can if they're even like, they haven't even begun to put this thing out there. Oh yeah, it's open at 7.5 and now it's 6.5 on ESPN.
So I think we've been going for about an hour here.
Well, you've been going for an hour, I should say. I popped in and went like 15 minutes.
It's been really helpful. I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed it.
Seth, I know you've already given your thoughts. Let me ask you, what were your thoughts
on the game?
Yeah.
Beautiful defensive matchup. I think this Wichita State team stinks. They're an awful shooting team. And that was kind of my thought going into the game was, if USF plays up to their level, they're not going to lose to a team that bad. Now, it got tight, and I thought the refs were kind of calling the game more closer to the Wichita style. So that could definitely be – I thought that would maybe work in their favor, but USF did a good job weathering that storm. So Hard Rock has the game at 1 potentially.
Fuck. That's so early.
It's going to be one of the early games. Yeah, I would think it would. I thought there might be potential for it to be one of the first games of the tournament in terms of the first game on Thursday. So, here's what's great: you get a chance to win early. If you win, you get to just bask in a Thursday and Friday of the tournament with no pressure. It's awesome. Yes, this is kind of what I'm referring to. There was a lot of grabbing going on as USF was trying to kind of run their sets and move throughout. It got called like one time, but it could have been called all game. But they did a good job weathering the storm and just kind of knowing that Wichita State team can't shoot worth a lick. So if we can just kind of keep pushing the lead out, they'll never recover. I did mention that when USF was at 59 points, I said the magic number was 70, and it turns out they could have just stayed at 59 and won the game. Yeah. So, with how good the defense was. So, awesome performance. A really fun team. So it's always good to see a fun team rewarded. That AAR team was a lot of fun too, but they just couldn't. I think if the format would have been more like this, they would have had a better chance. But the format was different then. So, I really enjoyed the format. So glad to see USF get the monkey off their back, so to speak, get a big win. A lot of people are excited. Now you get to play in the big tournament, and you're playing with house money, right? You're in the Cinderella role. So everything from here on out is gravy, and I think this is a team can be pretty dangerous. Man, if you hit shots, you can beat anybody. If Enos and Pinion are making shots, and any one of the role players hits some threes, you can beat pretty much anybody you play. Maybe not the great elite teams, but you ain't playing one of those for a while. So, I think you have to be super happy. What's crazy, before the game, we said if USF hit 10 threes, they definitely win. They only hit 6, but to me, that's a good sign. And that's one thing with this team. They've shown they can win in different ways. So that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I know you already mentioned this probably, but the fact that at one point I think we were like 3 for 10 on threes in the first half, and it was 2 Isaiah Jones threes and then an Isaiah Nelson 3 was our leading 3-point percentage. For all credit to Wichita as well, matched up beautifully defensively. Like they knew how to rattle the cages and everything like that. And it was like I said, which if USF was going to lead at halftime, Wichita State was going to come back hot, and then it was going to be that middle after that under 16 timeout. Like that was going to be where the rubber was going to meet the road. Either USF was just going to run away with it, or it was going to just continue to be a back and forth affair. They did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They just took control defensively. It didn't really matter offensively. Like if that sounds so weird to say, I was not worried about the amount of missed shots or missed possessions that USF was having down the stretch, because I knew there was no way Wichita State was going to be able to come back.
Yeah, they just squeezed the life out of them at the end of the second half, which is fun to see. So we'll probably come back in the next couple days. We'll have the whole crew in here. We'll get Colin in here, get a really good retrospective on winning the tournament. Colin was there. We'll see if we can get Colby in too. He's been there. He's been awesome. Great coverage. Make sure you're following him on Twitter, and also make sure you're following us on Twitter. We're we're trying to do some more live because we're trying to grow our new Twitter account. You can see it here. We're over 400 followers, which is good, but we were in the thousands before our account got swiped. So we are at _BAE_Tampa. Please follow us there. We're going to try to go live more often, and we'll definitely be getting together to record to kind of look back historically at the big winning the conference tournament, how important that win was, what it's like for some of the longtime fans like Colin and Nathan. We'll definitely get their perspective, and then start really getting granular and previewing this Louisville game, because that's now the next most important game. So we'll get into that. We'll get some updates on Micah Brown's injury, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys for watching live with us as we go through the bracket here and recap USF winning the American Conference Tournament and qualifying as a automatic bid for the NCAA Tournament. Big day for USF basketball. Thank you guys for watching and joining here with us. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.